some of Scandinavian countries have been praised for a long time as being some of the most beautiful countries in the world, with some of the best system of societies in the world. It's always very inspiring. We all know that it is beautiful sometimes from the pictures we see. Some of us from the internet. Some have had the chance to go and travel in Scandinavia. We're talking about Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Iceland, all those countries. It's beautiful to get an insight with YouTube today. We can see so many things from different countries, even without necessarily being there physically. Sometimes we wish we would go and visit, all right? We thank technology. I mean, today you can see me, guys, from far away. Some of you from the States, from the Caribbean, from Africa, from Europe, watching us immediately like this. It's a beautiful thing, right? As much as we praise Scandinavian countries, let's talk about Sweden. Sweden has become the first country in the world to officially register sex as a sport. Yes, fellas, you heard that right. In Sweden today, sex has become a sport. I know a lot of people want to copy Sweden for many things, saying it's one of the most progressive country in the world where there's so much tolerance, so much goodness, so much acceptance. People can do whatever they like, so much freedom. So they say just like any other sport, achieving the desired results in sex requires training. Yeah. Therefore, it is only logical that people also start competing in this aspect. Degan Batić, president of Swedish Sex Federation, there is a sex federation in Sweden, explained in Times of India. The Swedish Sex Federation has even organized the first European Sex Championships, which will be held in Gothenburg on June 8th, 2003. Yeah, they're going to have the European Sex Championships. Unbelievable, right? Amazing, right? So some of you guys that really like to do those activities can go compete and now actually win a prize, win some money and become superstars like Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Messi and all that. Interesting. So each of the events will last 45 minutes. Each of the event will last 45 minutes. I don't think you can compete anymore, right? I don't think you can last 45 minutes. You're probably going to be 2 or 1 or 30 seconds. And 1 hour. And participants may have to compete for up to 6 hours in one day. 6 hours? 20 people from different countries are expected to compete, and the winner of the event will be decided by a panel of judges, scoring from 5 to 10, and by popular audiences. So this is probably going to be a very open space sport. Yeah, like hockey, like tennis, like basketball. You're going to be a lot of people in the audience watching you while you're performing at the best of your ability in order to become the champion of the European Sex Championship. How interesting is that? In the competition, participants can earn extra points by demonstrating their theoretical knowledge of the Kama Sutra. So the more you kinky, the more you bring some moves, some interesting stuff, the more points you earn. So yeah, Sweden again is a beautiful country. We all know that. We see the pictures, we hear about the culture, and it's very interesting, very progressive, very accepting, very tolerant toward everybody. Nobody's really judged. You can be whoever you want to be. You can do whatever you want to do. Nobody's going to come after you. In fact, Sweden is the country on the 1st of July, 1944, legalized same-sex relationship. Yeah. 1944, right by the end of the World War II. It wasn't even done yet, right? We were still in World War II, and same-sex relationships were legal in Sweden. So that's the type of country that Sweden is. And right now, in many countries in the world, that's not the same case. How do you feel about this, fellas? I mean, we live in a society where we are under the impression that these behaviors are normalized. Sex is just sex. I mean, if sex can be a sport, then how precious is sex anymore? That's my question. I mean, sex used to be like a prize, You remember many, many years ago, before you had sex, you actually get married, right? Yeah, I know today it looks like stupid when somebody says you marry me before you have sex. Like, what kind of world are you living in? But if you look at the positivity and the negativity, you weigh them. It's very interesting. There wasn't teenage pregnancies, not at the level there is today, because people respected those activities. It was sacred. It was precious. That was like, you marry me first, we become one in a spirit, then we can have those activities. Today, in fact, it's very easy, much easier to get sex than it is to get a serious relationship. Just think about that again. It's very easy. It's much simpler to get sex than to get a relationship where somebody actually really loves you and respects you and treats you accordingly. Now, when you hear that people are trying to create a championship around that, doesn't that feel like they're trying to sort of demystify it, make it, feel like nothing, lose its value, lose its space in life? I mean, a lot of people got married so they could legally have access to that. most of us love it. Most of us like it. So a lot of people had to follow procedure in order to get to that level. So now, if you can only do sex as a pleasure, tool, just like just eating ice cream and whatever that is, if it's simplified to a level of a sport, why would people consider it like a precious, respected activity that's exclusive to some people anyway? You sort of blur the line, right? Doesn't make any sense anymore. Now, is this something you want to copy? We all know that when we grew up, a lot of us at least looked up to some of the sportsmen, some of the public figures because of the things they did. And a lot of us have directed their careers and their aspiration towards the activity they saw and appreciated from those people, those proeminent people we knew back in time, right? Now, in a society like Sweden, where now sex is going to be a sport, how will we feel? Should we expect children in the future to start looking forward to becoming world champions or European champions in sex? How's life in Sweden? Life is beautiful. But beside that, beside the peace and everything, Sweden is the country with the highest rate of divorce in Europe. Highest rate of divorce in Europe is in Sweden. So in Sweden, of course, you have the freedom of men and women doing whatever they like, equality, which is a very good thing, but very misunderstood. The divorce rate for Swedish people is very high. And what's interesting is even immigrants that go to Sweden, divorce rate goes very high. In other words, when somebody comes from a different country, comes from Uganda, Kenya, comes from Malawi or whichever country, when they go to Sweden, the divorce rate goes just very, very high. And why? They say because the divorce rates for immigrants in Sweden seem especially high when compared to the divorce rate in their home countries. Of course, when you go to a place where people divorce a lot, and you talk to them, you live with them, you are with them every single day, there's going to come a time you're going to be starting to think exactly like them. Now, is divorce a good thing or not? I don't know. Some of us used to think that divorce was something not necessarily good, especially when it's not necessarily supported. Let me put it this way. Of course, if you are with somebody that abuses you mentally, physically, emotionally, you are within your rights to ask for divorce. Of course, if you're living with somebody that mistreats you, somebody that beats you, that violates your rights, somebody that's not the person that they used to be, you could ask for divorce because you need peace in your life, right? But the problem is today, divorce has been very simplified in a level where people feel like, I don't like the way he talks to me anymore. Well, I think I want a divorce. Oh, I don't like the way you phrase that sentence, so I want a divorce. Oh, I don't feel like the way I used to feel anymore. I want a divorce. So divorce has become just something very simple to do. Why? Because Sweden has made it very easy, in fact. They even say here, why is divorce so prevalent in Sweden? 3 reasons. It is cheap, easy, and safe. So they are promoting even divorce. Can you believe that? Why is divorce so easy in Sweden? For 3 reasons. Because it's cheap, it's easy, it's safe. Why would you say easy if it's not promotion? A divorce costs $100 in Sweden, equivalent of $100. So all the 20 years you've worked in, you've invested into this person's life for $100. Bye-bye. That's it. Swedish divorce is also relatively easy to request. If both partner wants to divorce and neither has custody of the child under 16, you just file a joint application form and send it to the district court in the region where you are registered. The proceeding time is a few weeks, and there's no need to provide the reason for divorce on the form. So they make it very easy for you to divorce and very easy to be part of the sex championships of the world, or at least of Europe. That's the society we are living in right now, brother. And yeah, Sweden is a big model for many other countries. They would love you to copy Sweden, to be just like Swedish people who are not violent, which we truly appreciate. But also, men and women are very separate. So men do their things, women do their things. I was actually watching the other day a video where a Swedish man was saying you cannot approach a Swedish woman. So you can't do the first step because they're tired of it. Because every time they try, you are treated like a creep, or you are dodged, or you are funny. Why are you saying hi to me? Why are you looking at me like I'm good looking? Why are you talking to me like you're a man and I'm a woman? I don't know which other way should I talk to you. Like, how am I supposed to look at you? Isn't that what men do when they see somebody they like? So the man was explaining why men don't actually care anymore looking for women. And a lot of women are just living their lives. What's the end goal of this? We're moving toward a society where men and women don't necessarily interact. Men and men like each other very much. Kids are promoted into whatever that is. And who are going to make the children for the future? We don't know if people are interested to having more children. What we used to call many years ago as normal societies and normal families and whatever that is. There's no clear definition anyway. And now, what else about Sweden? Sweden is a cashless society. Cashless where, literally you will not see cash. People don't use cash. In Sweden, at least at a very small scale. Their goal was at 2023 to be completely cashless. So everything you want to buy, you're going to use an app. I think they have an app called Swish for payment. They use Swish for everything. Swish for ice cream, Swish for bread, Swish for potatoes, Swish even for people who are begging. You can use Swish to pay them. Swish for everything. You just Swish. And I don't know if that's interesting. I don't know how you feel about that. Some of the reason why they say they're moving toward a cash society is because they're trying to avoid counterfeiting of money, money laundering. I don't know how you're going to do that anyway. There are going to be no more pickpocketing, no more bank robberies. If you think about it, how many times you heard of bank robberies in 2023? How many times, honestly, we're trying to protect people from bank robberies? How many times you see people going with guns to a bank? That only happens in movies. You're going to get gunned down if you go to a bank with them. But they say it's for them to try to avoid bank robberies, to avoid people using cash for drugs and weapons. Drugs and weapons. We know some of the big society that imports drugs for their own people. Okay, let's not be hypocrites. We also know who sells the big weapons and guns. So it's okay for institutions and countries to bring drugs for a specific group of people and sell it to them. It's okay for institutions and big companies to sell weapons to other people. But when it's other people that we don't know, then we need to censor that. They said they're promoting the cashless society to have less tax avoidance. So it's a way of them to tax everybody. Like in your country, somewhere in Africa, sometimes you make money, you don't necessarily talk about it with the tax man and you eat everything of it. I mean, yeah, it's your money anyway, but they want some of it. In Sweden, you can't do that. As soon as the money's in your account, they're going to take it out. A question arises. Do you remember a couple of days ago, there was a Ugandan politician that came forward and said he contacted some of his colleagues in Ghana after they refused to accept a bill that was presented to them by the West. And what happened to Ghana was those people told him from Ghana that their account was frozen because they were banking with an institution that worked with an international institution that based in those specific countries. So their banking accounts was frozen. And he was urging the people of his nation to remove their money if they have any money into those institutions.
I was speaking to my colleagues in Ghana. In Ghana, they've even gone ahead to threaten freezing accounts, and slapping bans on international banking institutions that partner with the US banks and other financial institutions. So if you have monies on your accounts and you have a salary, remove it.
So if they can block you like that because you have an opinion they don't necessarily like, what can they do to you in a cashless society? So once again, Sweden, very interesting country, beautiful. I know a lot of you will do anything to go live in Sweden. Country where a lot of people are not interested in getting married. If marriage is something that that's their right. Whoever can choose whatever they want to do with their lives. But if you are one of those people that believe that marriage is something that's very important, daddy, mommy, and children is something that's ring a bell in your brain, maybe that's not the society you want to be incorporated into. Sweden today has announced that they're going to be having a European Sex Championship. And the winner obviously going to be praised and receive other, from the audience and stuff like that. Is that a move to simplify what sex represents for people? Is that a move to demystify, to make it less than what it represents? So people don't make any effort in getting married and getting together and actually building something crucial so you can have a society that's dignified, that's formed with family, where people really actually bond like human beings do, naturally. Let me know how you feel about this. Thank you very much for being part of this. It's really appreciated. If you like our community and you feel like you want to be part of it, feel free to join us and hope to see you very soon in this series. God bless. Do you remember in Canada when Canadians stood up, Canadian truckers, against their president for whatever they call was their right? I think everybody has the right to claim their right if it's constitutional. But they were blocked completely. Their bank accounts were frozen, their mobile money frozen, their PayPal frozen, everything, even the money that was sent to them via GoFundMe was frozen. So they literally had no access to money. Now imagine in Canada they still had some cash they could spare and spend on bread, spend on milk, so they could survive. Now imagine a society where you don't even have any cash. How do you do? If you say something, you do something that government doesn't necessarily like, and you don't have any cash. With your cash, you can pass it to your friend. You can ask him to go buy food for you. With your cash, you can give it to your sister and ask her to go get things for you. With no cash, what do? Your transaction is refused. Okay, your transaction is declined because you have an opinion that's not necessarily an opinion of everybody. Is that a society you want to live in?